All right, so we are in the second part now. We're going to be watching this video here. You should have done the scavenger hunt with the graphing calculator. So what we're going to do is practice what we did in the first chapter with the gallery walk. Oh, that's fun stuff. But with the graphing calculator giving you the picture instead of me giving you the picture. So we're going to talk about how to use the graphing calculator to find key features of a graph. So first we're going to graph this function. So I need for you to press the y equals button and type this in. It's going to look like, well, I put the x at the end, but okay. And then we want to graph this, so the first way to graph is a standard window. This is the standard window, so you can either press the window and type those in, but you can also go to Zoom 6 and choose, whoops, let me go back, and choose standard. So you can just press 6. And if your calculator graphs in color, it graphs really fast, which can be good and can be bad. And if it graphs in black and white, it graphs really fast like this one did. But what happened, it went up, it's turning up here, coming back down, turning not far down here, and then going back up. But it graphed really fast. So what I want to do is get a better view of this. So after that, what I'm going to do, one option to try is Zoom Fit. You can also go and adjust the window. We're going to try a Zoom Fit. This is what I always do first. Zoom Fit, if you just use your arrows, is 0. And it's going to show it in a little bit more stretched out window, so I don't get to see those curves quite as I did here. And so what I need to do is bring this Y back down a little bit, okay? I can see plenty across here, but what I can't see is this detail of those curves that I saw here. So now what I'm going to do is press the window button, and if you look, my X is still in the standard viewing window of -10 to 10. I'm going to cut this down by a lot. And you know what? At this point, you just got to mess around with it. I'm going to go from -100, and make sure you press the negative button. That's by the 0, or by the enter key, not the subtraction button. -100 to 100. This Y scale, this is what it's going up by. I don't need it to go up by 1s. You could have it go up by 10s. It really doesn't matter. 5s. You could leave it as 1s. Now I'm going to hit graph. And there's a good viewing window. So what I'm going to do is kind of move this to the side. And what we're going to talk about now are these key features. So just to reconfirm, here's my window. Here's my equation. And this is what our picture should look like for all of us. So what we're going to talk about are the first 5. We don't need to worry about the rest. Value, I'll show you that. 0, again, another word for 0 are roots and intercepts, particularly the x-intercept. We got our mins and our max, and intersect. Intersect is different than intercept. Intersect is when we have 2 shapes meeting. I'll show you that one in just a little bit. So first, what does value do? Value helps you find the value of f of x, again, which is just y, if you give it an x value. So what we're going to do is, to get to this calc option, is we're going to press second trace. So second trace. And we're going to start with value. So select it, you can press 1 or just hit enter. And it's going to let me find any x value that's in my window range. So anything from -10 to 10. If I try to do anything bigger than 10, so what if x is 20? Like that, I'm going to get an error message because it can only work in the window that it sees. So I'm going to quit out of that second mode, and I'm going to go back to my graph, and I'm going to do second trace. And I'm going to choose option 1, and I'm going to pick something in between -10 and 10. So let's do, for instance, it asks me to do x is 3. Hit enter, and there's your y. And it even shows you where it went. So if x is 3, y is 0. Or I could do it again, and I could choose, choose, what about x is 7? And I get a different value. Even though it's not fitting on here, you know, it's way up here, because x is fitting on here, I can do that. But this only works if I give x a number and not y a number. I can't do it the other way around, okay? Next one, 0. So what are the values of the x-intercepts? I wrote here, you have to trap it. So this is what I mean by trap it. So we're going to go to option 2, so go back to second trace, and I'm going to choose option 2, and I'm going to see a cursor. And what I'm going to do is find this one first. Now, I already know what it is, you can probably guess, but I'm going to use my arrows. So what I'm doing is I'm using my left arrow until I can see where it is, and I can get an idea because I know the window. Again, it's from -10 to 10, -100 to 100. When I started, it was actually way up here, but if I start to hit my left and right arrows, I can figure out where it is on my screen. So anyway, I have to trap it. The question is asking what's the left bound. What I have to do is get this cursor somewhere to the left, which is actually below it. So it could be there, it could be there, it could even be there. So once you get it somewhere to the left or below, I'm going to hit enter, and then it's going to ask me for the right side. So I'm going to use my cursor and I'm going to move it over to the right, which is actually kind of more like above. Once I get it somewhere to the right and above, again, it could be there, doesn't matter. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to say guess. Yep, there's one of them. So there's 1, 0. So if x is -4, y is 0. But there are a couple of others, so let's practice again. So second trace, I'm going to go to calc, choose option 0, and this time I'm going to go over to this one. So it's where it was last time, so I'm just going to use my right arrow, get over there, and it wants me to get it somewhere on the left, and so this is, again, it's below, but it's on the left. I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to move it to the right, and hit enter, and then it's going to say guess, and there's another one, when x is 3, y is 0. So when x is 3, y is 0. So that's how you do zeros or roots or intercepts. Real roots, I should say. But again, you have to trap it. Minimum, maximum. So in this picture, there's maximum and there's a minimum. And again, I'm going to have to trap it. I'm going to go to second trace. Let's choose option 3 first. So just press 3. And here's my minimum. So it's going to, again, ask for the left side. So just get the cursor somewhere to the left of that low point. Hit enter. Then move it to the right, somewhere to the right. Hit enter, and that's going to guess. And there we go. So my minimum is about, we're going to go to the nearest hundreds, 1.69, -12.59. So what is the relative min? We're going to write it the correct way now. It's -12 well, we'll round it to 60 when x equals 1.69. And then let's go for the maximum. Again, remember, you can pause. So go back to that second trace, the calc option, choose option 4, and move your cursor. There's the max. Let's move it to the left. Hit enter, then move it over to the right, hit enter, and I guess it, and it's, you know, -2.36 and 20.75. So the min, again, I'm going to write as 20.75 when x equals -2.36. Okay? Now, what is the point of intersection? That I can't do until I get another equation on there. So I'm going to press y equals, and I'm going to scroll down to y2, and I'm just going to put in the equation x plus 2. I'm going to hit graph. We'll keep it in the same window. And my graph is actually hitting it twice, about here and here. So what I want to do is see where these two are meeting. So go back to second trace, and I'm going to choose 5 for intersect. And it's going to put me close to one of the two intersects. So there's one over here and one over here. I'm going to move my cursor a little bit to the right so I can get close to this. Just anywhere close to that point of intersection, and then I don't have to trap it. The calculator does all the work. I just have to hit enter after first curve, enter after second curve, enter after guess, and you'll see where it lands. And here's my point of intersection. So 3.22 and 5.22. So one point of intersection is here. And then there's the other one over here. So I'm going to go back to second trace, and I'm going to choose intersect. And this time I just got to use my cursor, get it more over to this side. Closer. No, that's good. And then again, just hit enter for first curve, enter for second curve, enter for guess, and there's the other one. So these are meeting at about a -0.407 and -2.07. So what that means mathematically is if I took these x values and put them into both equations, If I put 3.2 in for x on both of these, I'd get 5.22 out for y. Or if I put negative 4.07 in for x on both of these, I'd get negative 2.07 out for y. Okay? So we're just seeing what x and y coordinates these two have in common. All right, let's go to VAC. You're going to have something like this on the test. So go to your y equals button. I want you to type this equation in. I'm going to clear all of these out just by hitting clear. And make sure you use the negative button. Again, negative button. And I don't have t, I have to use x. I'm going to use this for the squared. And the first time I graph it, I'm going to hit zoom 6. Now anything squared is a U shape, just so you know, and I want to be able to see the full U, and this is great. Sometimes you might have to adjust the window. I think this is great. What I need to do is first draw a picture of it, draw your x-axis where it looks, draw your y-axis where it looks. It's going through the origin, up, and about down. Try to make it match your picture as best as possible. This means I want to know what your window is so that if I type this and then I type this into my calculator, I'll get your picture. So I'm just going to press window, and it's all negative 10 to 10. If you get some long decimals, just round the decimals to the nearest whole number. So for instance, if this was negative 32 point, like that, just write down negative 32. But I'm going to keep it at negative 10. All right, going back to my picture, I just need the graph, so I hit graph. We did all of this. We need to label the zeros, the max, the min, and the y-intercept. So first I'm going to start with my zeros. So go to second trace, choose 0, trap it on the left, so a little bit below, move it above so it's somewhere on the right. And it's not quite 0, 0, but it's pretty close. So this is negative 0.02, I'll round it, and 0. So that's my y-intercept. It's also my x-intercept. And then, actually, it's just my x-intercept. And then I'm going to find this one. So go back to second trace, choose 0 again. I got to move my cursor all the way over to trap it. So somewhere to the left. That's good. Somewhere to the right, which is below. Hit enter. And here's my other one. So about 6.82 and 0. So I got my x-intercepts. My y-intercept, or my max. So go back to your calc, choose 4. Again, trap it on the left. Trap it on the right. Hit enter to guess. And that's about 3.4 and 7. And I think that's all I need. I mean, these are arrows, so if we mark our ends, x is negative infinity on the left and y is going down. X is infinity on the right and y is going down. So if we did everything we were supposed to do in the test, this is everything that I would mark. Okay? All right. How long will it take the frog to land? So this is about a frog jumping. This is in seconds. This is height in centimeters. So I assume this is where the frog is starting his jump, and then this is where he is landing his jump. So how long will it take for the frog to land? 6.82 seconds. So again, chapter 1, I gave you the picture and you answered these. Now you get the picture and you answer them. What's the greatest height the frog reaches? That's the 7. That's the y. So 7 centimeters. Do use your correct units. And how long will it take for the frog to reach that highest point? 3.47 seconds. Same spot. Now this was a question on the test. What values of time make sense in context of the problem? I already said it's seconds. I don't need this whole U. The only part of the U that I need is where he starts and where he lands. So the part that really makes sense is I don't even need this negative 0.02. I need when x is 0 to 6.82. You could write it like that. You could put it in a sentence. You could write it as an inequality. It doesn't specify any particular way. Over what interval was the frog rising? This is the rise. This is the falling. So again, I'll use what's on the graph, negative 0.02. You could actually just say 0 if you technically wanted to. Up to 3.47. And where is it falling? From 3.47 down to 6.82. All right, so what you're going to be doing now is all right, so for the homework, you're going to be doing this problem. Let's get the first one typed in together. So go to your y equals, clear out the equation, and this is a negative sign, so make sure you use the negative button. Okay. To get to the cube root, I'm going to press the math button, and I'm going to choose the fourth option. And this is the difference between the old operating system and the new operating system. I don't have a calculator in here with the new operating system, but if you have that one, you're in much better luck than we are. So in the old operating system, I need parentheses to let the calculator know everything that's in the cube root. So basically, I'm adding, move this down, these parentheses, or the calculator is, because we have, to let it know that all of this is in the cubed root. So that is those parentheses, and now I'm going to type the 2 in the parentheses they want, x minus 3, close the parentheses that they want, but then to let my calculator know that I'm done with the cube root, I hit another set of parentheses. If you have the newer operating system, you won't have those parentheses. This line will just extend all the way across, and then I use the right arrow to get out of it, and then I do plus 15. So first thing I'm going to do is graph it. I'm going to start with the standard window, zoom 6. And I do need to mark my end behaviors, my intercepts, my max, my min. And believe it or not, this graphed. We just can't see it in this window. So what I'm going to do is zoom, and I'm going to do fit, which is 0. And here it starts to fit. This is pretty good, but let's take a look at the window and see what's happening. So x is going from -10 to 10. Okay, and the y's, are going from this very small range of numbers, 12 to 17, 18. So what I want to first do is maybe adjust so I can see further left and right. So maybe let's go from -30 to 30, and we can have it go up by 5. So this is a different way to do it. My y, let's just bump this up. Let's go, let's just start at 0 and go up to 30 and have this go up by 5s. So I don't know actually how this is going to look, but I just want a good idea of this shape. This is a cube root shape, and that looks pretty good. So you're just going to have to mess around with the window and ask me, does this look good? Does this not look good? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this in there. So there's my y-axis. My x-axis is down below here. I don't need to draw those little tick marks, and I'm just going to draw this as best I can. There are arrows. When it takes up the full screen like this, there are arrows. I do need the window, so I'm going to put from -30 to 30, and my y's were from 0 to 30. So again, if I type this in and this in, I'll see your picture. And this is a cube root, and I'm going to mark it. So on the left, x is getting smaller, and the y's are getting bigger slowly. On the right, x is getting bigger, and so are the y's. They're actually going down. The next thing I need to do is find this, my intercepts. So, the only way to find the y-intercept is to get close, is press trace. And when you do that for the first time, for me it landed right on there. So now, what about the x-intercepts? There could be x-intercepts. I just can't see them at this point, and I'm not going to worry about them at this point, okay? So what I'm going to do is just let this picture answer all of my other questions. So I'm going to go through my end behaviors as x gets bigger, as x gets smaller. What are my x-intercepts and my zeros? What are my y-intercepts? The max, the min, the interval of increase, decrease, all of this stuff. The only one that's going to have an asymptote as you go through and you see this option choice is the one next to it. This will have an asymptote. It's exponential. The one on the back, no asymptote, and this one won't have an asymptote either. And again, to get to absolute value, you can press the math button, and you can scroll over to number and access it that way, or you can go to the catalog by hitting second 0, and it's the first thing that shows up. So that's it. Your job is to finish the yellow factoring page, this page, and if there's time, you'll be taking the mile marker.